Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
And thank you for being with us on this Wednesday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes. We'll do it with Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. The latest on the LeBron free agency dance that is going on. Also, David Aardsma is here because if it's a Wednesday, SportsWrap's going inside baseball with the former big league reliever and closer. But we start things out as we always do on this Wednesday. It's time for the big story. And the big story is presented by the Daily Wrap, our Substack newsletter. It comes out daily. That's why it's the Daily Wrap. Get it? Go and check it out. Subscribe. Scan the QR code below and subscribe. It's free, and we appreciate it very much. There are very few topics in sports that become as emotionally charged, politically divisive, and intellectually dishonest as the conversation surrounding transgender athletes. And today, Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham has become the latest athlete to step directly into that fire. In comments to ESPN, Cunningham making it clear she opposes transgender women competing in women's sports. And within minutes, the reaction followed the script that we've all come to expect. Conservatives celebrated her, progressives chastised her. Everyone immediately picking a side. And that's exactly the problem. Because we've reached a point where people want this conversation to fit neatly into a 30-second television clip, a viral social media post, or a political campaign slogan. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it because I believe it to be true. This is one of the most complicated issues in sports, and I don't believe there are any perfect answers. On one side, excluding transgender athletes or forcing them to compete against the sex they were assigned at birth, regardless of how they identify, can be deeply harmful. These are real people, many already among the most vulnerable members of society. They deserve dignity, respect, and they deserve to be part of the conversation and not simply talked about as political props. But here's where some people immediately assume that they know where I'm going, because acknowledging that reality doesn't automatically answer the competitive fairness question. It doesn't. I've also said repeatedly that I don't believe allowing biological males who have transitioned to compete in every women's sporting situation is a perfect solution either. There are legitimate questions surrounding competitive equity. There are legitimate concerns raised by female athletes, and those concerns shouldn't simply be dismissed as hate. But neither should transgender athletes simply be dismissed as a problem that needs to disappear. That's where this conversation breaks down. Everybody wants an absolute. Either it's let everyone compete, or the other side of it is let's ban everyone. Those are the only two positions we're apparently allowed to have anymore. And life doesn't work that way. I say it all the time. Most of life is lived in the gray. Sports don't work that way, and complicated issues certainly don't work that way. The reality is biology matters. The reality is also that gender identity matters. The reality is that inclusion matters. The reality is that competitive fairness matters. All of those things can be true at the same time. That's what makes this issue so incredibly difficult. Which brings me back to Sophie Cunningham. What struck me wasn't necessarily the conclusion that she reached. It was how the conversation was framed. Much of it centering around phrases like men in women's locker rooms and men playing women's sports. Not saying she's saying that, but that's what a lot of this centers around. Those are emotionally powerful phrases. They're also phrases that flatten an incredibly complicated discussion into something much simpler than it actually is. Because transgender women aren't simply men deciding to play women's sports. Every individual circumstance is different. Age of transition matters. The level of hormone treatment matters. The specific sport that we're discussing, it also matters. The level of competition matters. Scientific evidence continues to evolve. A lot of people want to ignore the science in this. Different governing bodies have reached different conclusions because the data itself isn't always definitive across every sport. And that's nuance. and nuance is disappearing from public discourse. Instead, we reward certainty. The louder your opinion, the more confident you sound, the more likely you are to go viral. And isn't that what it's all about these days? Just going viral. If you're oversimplifying one of the most complex issues facing sports today, is that going viral for a good reason? Now watch what happens with Sophie Cunningham. She'll almost certainly become a hero to many conservatives. You could already see it on social media. She'll become a villain to many on the left. Not necessarily because of every word she said, but because that's how we've conditioned ourselves to consume these types of conversations. You don't analyze. You don't question. You simply pick a jersey. Red team, blue team. That's what we've become in society today. What side are you on, one or the other? And once you've picked your team, everything becomes about defending your side instead of searching for the best answer. And you know what that is? It's unfortunate. Because I don't think this issue deserves slogans. I think it deserves empathy. I think it deserves science. I also think it deserves an honest debate. And I think it deserves enough humility for all of us to admit something we rarely admit anymore. Maybe there isn't one perfect solution. And that's what I've said all along when it comes to transgender athletes in sports. There isn't one perfect solution. Maybe this really is a balancing act between inclusion and competitive fairness. Maybe reasonable people can arrive at different conclusions without being hateful or ignorant. I'm talking to you, Riley Gaines. But that's not where our politics, or increasingly our sports conversations, live today. We've become addicted to certainty. We've become addicted to outrage. And we've lost the ability to sit with uncomfortable complexity. This issue, it isn't black and white. It isn't left versus right. It isn't as simple as a slogan on a t-shirt or a viral tweet. I know we all like to think that way. It's the simplest way to think. It doesn't make us go deeper into a topic. But this is layered. It's difficult. It's deeply personal for everyone involved, from the transgender athletes trying to compete to those they're competing against. And if we're ever going to have an honest conversation about transgender participation in sports, it has to start with something we've almost completely lost: nuance. Because without it, nobody learns a damn thing. Everyone just keeps yelling, and everyone loses. That's the big story. We're coming back. We got more to do on the show. We're going to talk baseball. David Aardsma is here, former big league reliever and closer. SportsWrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday. We're doing it next. All right, this Wednesday edition of SportsWrap continues. Kurt Helin later on the NBA. LeBron, make up your mind already. Right, David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, joins us every week as SportsWrap goes inside baseball. The first thing I'm going to ask Kurt about. All right, peek behind the curtain. I'm gonna kill the music. I'm gonna break everybody's heart. The Kurt Helin segment that's airing later in the show, we already taped it. So I'm breaking down the fourth wall here. And I asked him, have we gotten to a point with the LeBron story where everybody that's a fan of LeBron, if everybody who was like, wow, this LeBron thing, if it's sort of flipped because he's just dragging it out so long? You're a sports fan as much as you're a former professional athlete and all of that. Are you at the point where you're like, LeBron, just make up your mind already?
I'm at the point I don't care.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's gotten to a point where it's just like, all right, cool. Where are you going to finish your career? But he's past the point where he really is going to affect any team.
Oh no, you're crazy. If he goes to the right team, he can turn a team into a championship team.
If anybody,
no, not anybody.
Right,
this is
literally the
guy
story
off the
of LeBron's career. Is if LeBron's on the right team. It's not LeBron doesn't make a team. LeBron, if he's on the right group of players.
It's a good thing Sam's not here. Woo.
It's just factual. I can't. I'm not even complaining about it. It was very smart of him. His entire career outside of one team, they built a team, or he went to a team that was built.
Oh boy.
Hey, Good for him. One of the greatest players of all time.
Send your complaints to @theDA53, as you can see on X.
And we'll talk about it with facts.
Yep.
Because it is the fact that he's done an incredible job of going to the teams that are already built or whatever. They have superstars everywhere.
All right.
As I lose my light.
Yeah, I was like, what? Where'd the light go? Where'd the light go? You looked so good. Now the light's gone. So the Red Sox win 14 in a row as of the time we did this. They're going to play a doubleheader today because they got rained out yesterday, as did the Yankees and the Pirates. I mean, try and put into context, put into words, how surprising. Maybe it's not when you consider what the expectations were before the season started, but considering where they were when they went into a 4-game series with the Yankees and mollywopped them, to where they are now, being back in the mix, and actually being, I think, the third wild card team as of right now. Just sort of what's happened here.
Well, I sat here on the show and said, sell everybody. Sell the whole franchise.
You
Get
and
rid
Sam
of every
did.
single player.
Yep.
And now I have to change that because you played in a manner that has shown that you don't need to trade everybody. But that's what has to happen, guys. This is those type of things we talk about.
You still think they should sell?
Happen.
You still think they should sell? Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying is to change the whole sell mindset. It's not win 5 baseball games. And they're still they're 3 games above 500. So it wasn't like win 5 baseball games. You have to win 10. You have to win 14 in a row. You have to do something so absurdly good like this to show front offices that you're no longer a sell, you're a buy. They are a buy. They should be a buy without a doubt. I have 100% flipped it, but at the same time, they've won 14 games in a row. They have done everything that they have to do to prove to fans, to prove to front office that they are a buy. There's so many other teams that are middle, win a couple, lose a couple, win 4. Oh my God, they're buyers. No, they're not. They haven't done anything. Then they go lose a series. So this is incredible what they've done. Best pitching staff in baseball during this time period. They are absolutely killing it. They have the number 1 reliever ERA in all baseball, regardless.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that's on Aroldis Chapman's shoulders. He's been amazing. They're still incredibly average hitting wise over the course of the year. They're on a strong run. But they definitely still need more on the hitting side to separate themselves. They're still 28th in home runs, 20th in OPS, 23rd in runs scored. They are pitching just beyond light years what I was expecting them, especially that rotation. They're pitching incredible. They still need some bats. You know, we knew that going into the season. They're winning baseball games based on the pitching right now and enough hitting. They need hitting, and if they don't go out there and make a big splash on hitting, this is going to catch up at some point.
If our friend Sam Yarnell were here, he'd already know the answer to this because he'd go and do the research to find what was the longest winning streak David Aardsma was ever a part of. So I ask you, were you ever a part of anything like this?
So I did do the research. When I was on the Boston Red Sox, I was on a run, I had it right here, of 8 or 9 game winning streak, and 8, I believe, with the Mariners. So some really good runs. The Boston Red Sox team I was on was an incredible team. Like I felt like every day we showed up to the ballpark, we were going to whoop somebody's butt, except for the Tampa Bay Rays for some reason. That was the only team. We were 50-50 all year, 500 against each other. But I've never been on a run like this. Even when I was on that Red Sox team, it just felt like every day. It just felt like a normal game. You don't realize that you're winning 9 in a row because we're going to whoop your butt no matter what. And even if we lose, we're going to whoop it tomorw.
What's the environment like? What's the locker room environment like during those runs?
Oh, fiesta, man. It is fun. It's a good time. You walk in, music's playing, you just feel, but it just feels like you're on top of the earth. You can't be beat. The key is really good leadership on those teams. That is the key, because that can get into a groove where then you get complacent, and then pretty soon, then that turns into 4 in a row where you lose, 5 in a row where you lose. Great leadership on teams like this. Just keep working every day, have fun with the win, keep working, and then that thing starts rolling. Because you're going to come out of this at some point, you're going to lose a game. And then you're going to lose probably 2 in a row or something like that. That's fine. That happens. but it's how do you keep that train rolling, which is during those win streaks, you win. In college, I was on a win streak of 30 games. That was my biggest one, 30 or 31 in college. Wow. And we were like one game away from the national record. And that was the biggest thing. And there was, without a doubt, we got complacent. We got a little at the end of that streak. I did personally, and a lot of our guys did. And then our next 10 games, we lost like 3 or 4 games, and which is a huge deal in college. You lose that many. So then we turned it around and started whooping butt again.
That's great. David Aardsma is hanging out with us. I want to talk to him about Jacob Misiorowski, what's going on with the Tarek Skubal trade talks, as we're just a couple of weeks from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. I want to get into him with that. I've also got to find out when Major League Baseball players stopped wearing cups, because now we've seen a couple of instances with Jazz Chisholm, this poor kid from the A's who had to have surgery. Oh, we're going to talk about it. All of that coming up as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. Wednesdays on Sports Wrap are all about baseball with David Aardsma as we go inside baseball. Kurt Helin later on in the show. A shorter version of our NBA Weekly with him, just to get us caught up on what's going on with LeBron. So, what were your thoughts when you saw Jacob Misiorowski only throwing 4 innings and like 65 pitches against the Mets? And the explanation that came with it from Pat Murphy, because I had Bob Nightingale on the show last week, and he claimed, and he lives out near you. You two should go have coffee. So Bob Nightingale had claimed that this was all planned. Having him not start the game before the All-Star break, not pitching in the All-Star game, that all of this was part of a plan, that there's really nothing to worry about. And now you hear Pat Murphy talking about, oh, they're going to ramp him back up. He's only throwing this many pitches. I'm not buying, as much as I love Bob Nightingale, I'm not buying it. It still doesn't add up to me. Unless they're just being really cautious because he's already going to, he's going to far exceed any number of innings he's ever pitched in a season. What were your thoughts when you heard how Pat Murphy was breaking this down, David?
I don't like how Pat Murphy said he wasn't recovering the way we want him to recover.
Right.
That's an interesting thing to me. It does light a little conspiracy theory bulb above my head when they, now that he missed the All-Star game too, right? So that's extra innings, extra ramp up. You have to plan for that sort of stuff. One way to do that is to have him start the last game right before the All-Star break, and then you don't have to come up with any sort of excuse, right, or anything like that. So I don't know if I'm buying it on that side. I just also don't like, because when he talked about this start, and then he's talking about after the game, hey, like I still wasn't in my legs. It still wasn't quite feeling right, unless he's really selling it to the media. But you don't want to be telling anybody of your fan base or anything saying, hey, my arm, my body's not recovering, my legs aren't into it. All those sort of things. That's what I don't like. You don't talk like that unless it's real, because then if something does happen down the line, then you're going to look right back and say, well, why did you start him then? Why did you go about this road? And then you're going to have a whole lot of questions that you don't have answers to, that you're not going to like, and Pat Murphy's not going to like, and that's how people lose jobs, even though I don't think he's going to lose his job. I thought he looked great. They talked about him not having great command after the first inning. Yeah, it's amazing what the fine line is for Jacob Misiorowski versus. I'd be very happy with it. Throwing 104 miles an hour to Juan Soto, basically the entire bat. That seems pretty okay to me. First pitch at 102, 103 miles an hour. He seems to be back. You're going to not feel in your legs after All-Star breaks. I 100% have always felt that. Even that 3-day break just messes with you. Everything's off. Your whole routine's off. So you're never the same that first outing, and then you get back into it. So that's what's going to be big for me is this next outing. He threw on Monday, where we're going to be at on Saturday or wherever he's going to throw next. I don't think there's too much concern here, but I don't think this is planned. There's a lot of other ways to handle this and a lot of ways to communicate this, saying, hey, we have a plan all year on where we're going to start and we're going to limit innings. That makes people feel warm and fuzzy inside. You're a Brewers fan. You want to feel warm and fuzzy. You want to feel that, oh, you got a blanket. They know what they're doing. You don't do that by saying, hey, he doesn't feel good. We're going to hold him back. That doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy.
Instead of getting to Scooble along the lines of hard throwers, there was this story out of the Texas Rangers organization. One of their draft picks, somebody drafted in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I believe. Brody Bramilia, I believe is his name. I think he's like 18 years old, already hitting 100 on the gun.
6'9", 255, by the way.
How are you in high school, 6'9"? Well, I guess basketball players are all the time. So you've got this kid, and he's not even going to make it into professional baseball before he has to have Tommy John surgery. And I take this and I dovetail it off the conversation about Jacob Mizorowski, and I ask you, is this just the norm now and the sort of the price of doing business? And if you're the Rangers, you knew this was coming. He told teams this was coming, that you're still all in on guys like this?
So he had a huge signing bonus. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick until the arm problems. This is a pitching coordinator's draft, coordinator's dream. This is the dream, that you have a guy like this. Because if he comes out of it, it's a 3rd rounder. Oh my God. Like, this guy is a 1st rounder that you got in the 3rd round. That's that type of thing in NFL where you're like, dude, if this guy's knee figures out, he's a top 2 pick. And you're like, 3rd round, let's roll. The problem is he had an internal brace, and that still didn't really fully recover. So now he has to have the Tommy John. I'm not too concerned about it. I love the pick. I love the spot with him. Now, what does raise the real question is drafting guys that are injured. There's been a long history of it. Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, to name the ones that have kind of like survived through this. Even a Nathan Eovaldi had a Tommy John in 2007 before getting drafted in 2008. There's a long line of this stuff. Especially, I'm not really concerned on pitchers. As long as it's like a Tommy John, I'm not too concerned. It's just a matter of when that Tommy John was, when that happened. Like, is it 2 years before the draft? Then I'm a little bit more concerned. 3 years before the draft, I'm a little bit more concerned. Right before the draft, not as concerned, because now I've got 4 years, 5 years of this guy's arm no matter what. 3 years, and then like he probably didn't learn better mechanics, so he's going to blow out again, down the line. That's when it starts getting questionable. Shane McClanahan, I'll never forget this with when he got drafted by the Rays. I went and saw him. He had Tommy John in high school. I saw mechanics. I'm like, guys, this guy's amazing. He's going to blow out again. He was amazing, blew out again, and now he's coming. Now he's on the road back. You're only going to get a couple more years out of a double Tommy John guy. So like Walker Buehler, you're only we got a couple great years. Then he had to have surgery again. What are you going to get after that? So it's like that's the big concern. It's just a matter of how long am I going to actually get of his arm.
Didn't Ohtani have double Tommy John though?
Absolutely. This is still his first year coming back from it. And if he's successful, he's
so you're telling Dodgers fans he's only got a couple of years? That's it?
This is the only guy in the history of Major League Baseball that would be successful after a second Tommy John. He's having an incredible year. Let's see what this does in 5 years. But like there's the roadmap on double Tommy John is an extremely small and windy road that we don't know where the end is.
David Aardsma's hanging out with us. I'm going to hold him. I'm going to bolt him to the chair because I got a couple more things I got to ask him about, including why players aren't wearing cups. What changed that caused this? It makes no sense to me. The Tarek Skubal trade talk as well as Sports Wrap continues. The one and only David Aardsma hanging out with us, former big league reliever and closer, Sirius XM MLB Radio. You can catch him there. He'll be doing the Little League World Series out in San Bernardino, the regional games. Looking forward to that. Who's doing those games with you? Do you know who your partner is?
I don't know who the partner is. There's group of us, I guess, because there's a lot of games. So there's a little group of us. I'm not sure who I'm going to be matched up with.
I just didn't know if they had told you yet. I'm just curious because they always have.
It's not Carl Ravitch.
No.
Oh, man. That just is like.
I know. Yeah, I felt the same way. But, with them getting out of the baseball business for the most part, it didn't shock me, as I discussed yesterday.
Banana ball.
Oh, don't even. Don't. No, let's not.
Fun to watch.
Let's not. So I want to talk about Tarek Skubal here because there are still decisions to be made for the Tigers, who are 47-54 as we have this conversation. They are 6 games back on the loss side for that third wild card spot, which is held by Boston. The teams in front of them: Seattle, Baltimore, Minnesota, and Houston. We've got to be at a point here where they've got to pull the ripcord on this thing. Supposedly they want one top-line pitcher and big-time prospects. There's talks about what they're asking for. The closer this gets to the deadline, it feels like they're going to get held over the barrel here as far as teams saying, okay, we're not going to give you what you want, so either you're going to take a crappy deal or you're going to watch them walk in free agency.
Yeah. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, if you wait, at the same time, it's still Tarek Skubal. So there's not going to be, it's not a type of market where one team's going to hold all the chips and then hold it against them. Every team's still going to want them, and every single GM and president's going to look at that and go, oh, we have to give up one guy who he's going to replace, and then we have to one prospect. Heck yeah, man, let's go. There's enough guys out there who jobs are on the line, including a Craig Breslow type of guy whose jobs are on the line right now that have to make these moves. And so I think there's still going to be enough to go get them. Again, I've wavered back and forth.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the things that Tigers had to do to prove to them that they're not sellers, are exactly what the Red Sox are doing, and they're not. They're 6-4 in their last 10. You play that out the rest of the season, they're still going to be losers. And that's just the way it is. You're the best player on the market, best player in the world as far as a pitcher. I'm making a move right now before anything happens on an injury wise, anything. I start holding him back from starts and saying teams this is for you. I'm saving him for you. And you sell the heck out of it. No one needs to see what else he has to give. Just go sell him.
This is not for the squeamish. I will warn our audience, especially if you are of the male persuasion. This happened just a couple of days ago. A's rookie infielder Joshua Kuroda Grauer at the plate, and this happens. Here it is. Taking one to the area. It is rare you see a foul ball directly that doesn't hit the ground first and then hit somebody in the nether regions. This one went directly, do not pass go directly to jail. That's basically what happened here with this young man. And it was funny watching the broadcast because Dallas Braden's on the broadcast, and he's always funny. Dallas Braden's out there, and he's like, well, rub some dirt on it, get up, walk it off. Little did we know he ruptured a testicle. David Aardsma. I saw Jazz Chisholm take one to the nether regions. Find out he's not wearing a cup. Clearly this dude wasn't wearing a cup. Why aren't baseball players wearing cups anymore? What has changed?
So what's changed is, I don't know. I have no idea. I watched the same thing happen to Adrian Beltre, but he was wearing a cup and he ruptured a testicle. So I think a lot of times, I do know outfielders don't wear cups. There's no point for them to wear cups. A lot of times the middle infielders, because they are so far back, don't wear cups anymore. Third baseman tend to. Catchers obviously kind of have to. I wore a cup one game in my entire major league career, and I pulled my groin that game because I was moving different. Never wore it again, and I 100% regret that decision wearing a cup. I regret it up and down, because it changed my entire career wearing that cup. And so I'm always 50-50 on this, on where what guys should do. We really don't see them. The reason we wear a cup is because you see them in the field getting hit a lot. I think a lot of times these fields are so manicured now, so perfect, that you're not seeing these bad bounces that are jumping up there and get guys the same way in the past. And they like
but an errant throw, you could be a base runner in an errant throw and get hit. We've seen enough of these foul balls now that you could get hit. Like, isn't there enough research out there that guys just, you know what? I want to be able to have my baby makers. Like come on.
I think what it is the one time we hear about it versus like the feeling of not wearing it. That's why, hey man, I was also in a position, the way I pitched and the way I finished and followed through, I wasn't going to get hit there. Like I kind of like
the way
finished
you turn
in a different
over.
way.
Yeah.
So I regret it, but I still don't know how some of these guys don't. But I also don't feel like them. I couldn't field a ground ball in the big leagues.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this. Everybody who talks about baseball players not being tough, he stayed in the game, got a single later on in the game, Mr. Aardsma. I don't want to hear any talk about baseball players aren't tough. They just stand around. They're not tough guys, because this guy proved that theory wrong.
No, yeah. The whole tough guy thing, the problem is we play a sport where the level of error is so minimal. Like a hangnail could be the difference between being good and bad.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's not that we're not tough.
Yeah.
It's just that we realize like you can't survive on some of these things in this game.
David Aardsma, SportsWrap Inside Baseball. Always appreciate you, my friend. Stay safe.
Of course.
Welcome back to the show. I've had my say in the big story. David Aardsma has had his say on Major League Baseball. Now we will wrap with our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. WRAP. We're not gonna. We can't.
Yeah, we're not. We would be the wrong people to be doing that.
We're not Pat McAfee. We're not coming out with an album or anything like that. Did you see that
story?
Really? You didn't see this story? Oh my God! No. It was all over the place today. We're going to talk about it in odds and ends, but yeah, Pat McAfee coming out with an album.
It will go on the shelf next to my William Shatner Sings album. So that'll be.
Listen, if Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy, if Eddie Murray had come out with an album, that would have been amazing. If Eddie Murphy and Bruce Willis can come out with albums, why can't Pat McAfee? There you go. No, that's all you got.
I got nothing there.
Fair enough. And we have nothing when it comes to LeBron James, because apparently he's never going to make up his mind on where he's playing. Even Rich Paul seems like he's in the dark on what's going on right now. You've got Adam Silver sitting there tapping his foot going, hey, we got a schedule to make. We've got primetime matchups. We can't do anything. Everything's in a holding pattern because of LeBron. You have the Miami Heat putting out this crazy thing last night where they had a July 27th presser that they were setting up. Then they said, oops, our bad. We didn't mean that. Kurt, what is going on here?
LeBron is basking in this, probably like the light of this, and enjoying it. You hit something on the head that I was going to mention, which is, and I can't get into the background on this. I heard from sources, but I don't think Rich Paul does know. I literally don't think, I can't get into how. I don't think he knows. I think, or he's maybe got a better inkling than you and I do, but he doesn't know, which brings me to the other point here, which is my favorite thing right now. Pat Beverly, if your sources are telling, somebody's saying, my sources tell me X, Y, or Z, he's going here, he's going to announce then. They're just doing it for clicks. Nobody knows. Nobody around the league knows. Everybody is waiting. Like you said, Adam Silver's waiting. The teams are waiting. It's holding up business. Draymond Green and James Harden didn't re-sign with their, the Warriors and Cavs, in part because they're waiting for this to make, clear out some cap space. DeMar DeRozan is hanging out there. Things like teams striking out and then going after, maybe we should just go after Trey Murphy and meet the Pelicans asking price. All that kind of stuff is just hanging. And the teams that are not in the mix, have you noticed, are doing their final two ways and getting, guys on minimums to be the 15th spot at this point. There's just a bunch of teams that are held up right now.
Has this already now gotten to the point, because of how long it's dragged out, that it's turning into a net negative for him no matter how it ends up?
Within the basketball world, everybody's done with it. I don't know how else to put that. By the time I left Las Vegas last Tuesday, the mood had already started to shift. Or by Wednesday or Thursday, because everybody thought, well, he's just going to wait till everybody's in Vegas and he's going to go, all right, now he's going to wait till after the World Cup. But like, it just keeps dragging. And at this point, like you said, Adam Silver, he took LeBron pushed back on this and some people mocking Adam Silver's dead on. They can't make the schedule. They don't. Wherever LeBron goes, he goes to Golden State. He's with Curry, or he lands back in Miami with Giannis. That team's playing opening night or one of the other nights. They're playing on Christmas Day. That becomes one of if they got Curry and LeBron together, can they do like 60 nationally televised games a year? Like, that team will be on TV all the time, even if they're not that great. Everything's held up. Everything is on hold waiting for this announcement.
Is there any theory as to why?
The most prominent theory, Rich Paul pushed back on this on his podcast. The most prominent theory is LeBron's basking in the spotlight one more time. Oh. This will be the last team he plays for.
That's the wrong reason. Oy vey.
Yeah, that's the theory, but that's the best theory. There's not, if you want to believe Rich Paul, and he's not wrong about this, it's a big decision for LeBron in terms of potential legacy. Could he win another title? Can he lift another team? Does he go back home? What does the narrative for this look like for the documentary that he is filming that we know about for next year? That's all in play. So plus it is legitimate. Like, hey, if I go to Cleveland or Miami, I'm really not close to my family in Southern California. They're not moving, You're not moving. He's not moving his 11-year-old daughter out of school. And, Bryce is playing. Bronny will keep playing for the Lakers. Bryce is at Arizona, on that team. That's all kind of West Coast. So does he really want to go that far away? But I don't know what he's weighing most in his decision. They keep saying winning, but that's why everybody thinks he's going east. But again, we're all speculating. Nobody knows.
You said Cleveland last week. You said Cleveland last week. Has your mind changed based on anything over the last 7 days?
Not really.
Really?
Look, the people I talk to around the league still kind of lean Cleveland, but it's become, I think they felt stronger about it before, and now everybody's guessing. And you can, Miami leaking that, you can easily talk. If you want to compete for a title and be on TV a lot, and by the way, have a good basketball fit, Cleveland makes sense. Miami makes sense. Well, Cleveland a little bit too, but Miami makes great sense because I don't want to say a wide open East. Like the East is deeper this year and a little better, but there's nobody that seems invulnerable. It's not like the West where you're like, all right, it's Oklahoma City and San Antonio and everybody's trying to play catch up.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com is where you could find him. Check him out there. When the news breaks, he will be back on with us whenever that is. I always appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, what? Add one more thing.
I look forward to talking to you in September then.
We'll see what happens. Thanks, my friend.
Take care, buddy.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, plenty of reaction around Major League Baseball. We'll see what's going on with LeBron, the latest there. Maybe some other surprises. A couple of reminders before we go. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. The audio version of this show available Monday through Friday wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show. Crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday. We encourage you to subscribe to that. Gives you another way to check out the show. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page on the video side. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is available, commercial-free, 45 minutes waiting for you every afternoon. It's fantastic, I promise you. We also have extended conversations, Sports Wrap Shorts, Sports Wrap Originals, sometimes commentaries from the show, sometimes commentaries not from the show. It's all available on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. The numbers are growing. We see a lot more people watching it every day. Go and subscribe. Check it out today. We've also got the Sports Wrap website, sportswrap.tv. This is the place for everything. Everything I just talked about. The podcast, available there. You can subscribe. The TV version of the show, Sports Wrap Shorts, all available there. The Daily Wrap, our Substack newsletter, also available there. A contact form. You want to reach out to the show? You have something to say, good or bad? You like something I said, you don't like something I said, you hate watching, you love watching. I don't care. Go and check it out and send us your comments over on the Sports Wrap website, sportswrap.tv, the place to go for that. You could also find your affiliate there. You want to figure out where the show is on television Monday through Friday in your market. We're on over 270 affiliates in the U.S. and Canada. Hello to our friends watching on Game Plus in Canada. We love you guys. Go to sportswrap.tv. You could find your affiliate there. And without any further delay, on this Wednesday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. I did not know this was going to be on my radar today. The one and only Pat McAfee, ladies and gentlemen. I am about to give you an example of the Nickelback effect again. I've talked about this often on the show. When somebody becomes overexposed, we've seen it happen with Stephen A. Smith. We're watching it happen in real time with Pat McAfee on a daily basis. Remember, this was a guy who just had an online show that was on YouTube, and had his cult following, had an audience, was making good money, had deals with different, betting companies and things like that. I mean, he had it going well. And then after saying he would never do a show on ESPN, what did Pat McAfee do? He went to ESPN. Then he goes there, and then he's on College Game Day, and then you're having altcasts, and you're seeing him everywhere, broadcasting from everything. And some of that is on ESPN, but some of it's on McAfee because he's decided where he wants to spread his brand. Well, I'm going to tell you what happens when you have a bunch of yes people in your life. When all you have around you are sycophantic suck-ups that tell you how great you are. Man, you're so wonderful. Oh, that joke was funny. As Chaz Palminteri says in the movie Bronx Tale. I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. Well, that's Pat McAfee now. Because Pat McAfee, in his infinite wisdom, has decided he needs to put out an album. Yes, you're about to hear Pat McAfee singing, ladies and gentlemen. He put out a post on social media today. Here it is. For as long as I can remember, my mere existence has made people hate my guts. I've been writing songs about it for 20 years, and it's time to let them out. A lot of headlines and narratives. If I was to die, I'd like my kids to know exactly who their dad is. Let me tell you, I can sum up for your kids, who are probably wonderful, and this is not an attack on your kids or your family or anything like that. It's you. I can tell them exactly who their dad is. He's a guy that just loves the spotlight. He's a guy that really does live in the wrestling culture. The wrestling lifestyle of the heel versus the villain versus the hero. That's the world he lives in. Because if he thinks that everybody his entire life, his mere existence, has made people hate his guts, then he's really missing the picture. The reason people hate his guts is because he's everywhere. Because he's a media whore. And look, I speak from experience on this. At one point, I was doing a radio show, a TV show. I was a talking head on TV. I get it. There comes a time where you want to grab the spotlight. But that's all he does now. It's just grabbing at every opportunity to potentially elevate his name and make money. And I'll never fault anybody for trying to do the best they can financially. But it's the Nickelback effect. Originally, it was one Nickelback song. Then it was the whole album being played. And before you knew it, everybody hated Nickelback except that small core of diehard fans. And that's where Pat McAfee is headed. An album? Like anybody wants to hear you sing? It's not like you have the greatest voice in the world. Who around him is going to be the person that reins him in, that pulls the leash? Typically, it would be a wife, a spouse, a partner. In my life, that's certainly what it is. I have somebody in my life that will pull me back and say, nope, that's a bridge too far. Pat McAfee doesn't have that. And in some regards, I actually feel bad for him. It's going to do it for us on this Wednesday edition of the show. Thanks to David Aardsma. Thanks to Kurt Helin. Thanks to all of you at home for watching. Don't forget SportsWrap.tv or the SportsWrap YouTube channel. We'll see you all over there, or we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.